Imagine a global marathon where the long-standing giants of the internal combustion engine, the petrol and diesel monarchs, are beginning to stumble, losing their stride as a new force surges ahead. That force is China. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We have reached a critical juncture in history where the automotive landscape is being fundamentally reshaped. It is no longer just about who builds the fastest or most luxurious car. The battleground has shifted to the very core of the vehicle. The batteries, the raw materials, and the intricately woven global supply chain. This entire ecosystem is gradually but firmly falling under Chinese oversight. Within this narrative of transformation, several key protagonists emerge with increasing frequency: BYD, NIO, XPeng, and the titan of energy storage, CATL. The fundamental question that keeps industry analysts and global leaders awake at night is simple. Is this merely a successful business expansion, or are we witnessing a meticulously executed plan for silent global domination? Giants like Tesla, Toyota, and the historic European marques are not sitting idly by. They are deep in the race. However, the sheer velocity of China's ascent has caught the world off guard. By combining affordable electric vehicles, EVs, with high-capacity battery technology and a logistics network that spans continents, China is not just playing the game. It is rewriting the rulebook. If the current trajectory continues, the car you drive tomorrow, the battery that powers it, and the components that sustain it will likely have an inseparable connection to Chinese industry. To understand how China achieved this lead, we must look at the pioneers leading the charge. These companies are not merely manufacturing transport. They are redefining the parameters of mobility. Take BYD, for instance. Originally a battery manufacturer, it has evolved into a global EV juggernaut. Their secret weapon is vertical integration, the ability to produce almost everything in-house. This allows them to achieve a massive scale that drives costs down to levels their competitors struggle to match. For a consumer seeking an electric transition on a budget, BYD is no longer just an option. It is becoming the primary choice. While they have already secured their domestic stronghold, their eyes are now set on Europe and emerging markets, utilizing a strategy of maximum output and aggressive market capture that directly challenges even Tesla's pricing. Then there is NIO, which occupies a completely different psychological space in the market. If BYD is the king of the masses, NIO is the architect of the premium experience. Their vehicles are symbols of luxury and technological sophistication. However, NIO's true masterstroke is the battery swap system. While the rest of the world worries about charging times and range anxiety, NIO has introduced a model where a depleted battery can be swapped for a fully charged one in minutes, much like stopping at a traditional fuel station. This seamless user experience, combined with high-end comfort, targets the elite segment of buyers who demand innovation without compromise. Parallel to this is XPeng, a company that views the EV not as a car, but as a sophisticated smart machine. XPeng's DNA is rooted in software, artificial intelligence, and advanced driver assistance systems, ADAS. They are positioning themselves as the ultimate tech-driven brand, much like a digital-first competitor to Tesla. Their focus on continuous software over-the-air, OTA, updates ensures that the vehicle becomes more intelligent the longer you own it. This appeals to a younger, tech-savvy generation that values connectivity and AI integration over traditional mechanical specifications. When we analyze these three players together, a clear picture of a multi-pronged assault on the global market emerges. BYD provides the volume and accessibility, NIO provides the aspirational luxury and infrastructure innovation, and XPeng pushes the boundaries of autonomous intelligence. Their individual targets vary, but their collective destination is the same: total market leadership. The speed at which they operate is perhaps their most formidable trait. While traditional automakers are often mired in long-term planning, bureaucratic testing phases, and legacy transitions, these Chinese firms have already deployed millions of units onto the roads. This combination of production agility, strict cost management, and unwavering systemic support has propelled them into a leadership position that the rest of the world is now frantically trying to understand. This isn't just a story of corporate success. It is a testament to the power of a unified industrial ecosystem where every link, from the lithium mine to the final assembly line, is optimized for a single goal: winning the electric race. If you truly wish to decode the modern electric vehicle landscape, you must look beyond the sleek designs and futuristic dashboards. The real game isn't about the car itself. It's about the battery. In the EV world, the battery is the heart, the brain, and the soul of the machine. It dictates the range, determines the charging speed, ensures safety, and, most importantly, defines the cost. Whoever commands the battery technology essentially commands the direction of the entire global industry. This is precisely where China has made its most strategic and calculated move, establishing a level of dominance that the rest of the world is only now beginning to grasp. At the center of this power dynamic is a name that has become synonymous with energy storage: CATL, Contemporary Amperex Technology Company, Limited. This single entity has grown so influential that many of the world's leading automotive brands, including those from the West, are fundamentally dependent on its technology. Even if a vehicle carries a European or American badge, there is a high probability that its lifeblood is flowing through a CATL battery system. This isn't just about manufacturing. It's about relentless iteration. CATL is constantly pushing the boundaries of what is possible, focusing on higher energy densities, faster thermal management, and enhanced longevity. By producing at a scale that was previously unimaginable, they have driven down the cost of batteries to a point where internal combustion engines are finally facing a genuine economic threat. However, the story of Chinese control goes much deeper than factory floors and assembly lines. The true hidden power lies in the control of raw materials: lithium, cobalt, and nickel. These three elements are the non-negotiable building blocks of modern battery chemistry. Without a steady, reliable supply of these minerals, the transition to green energy grinds to a halt. China recognized this vulnerability decades ago and began a global campaign to secure these resources. It didn't just build factories. It secured the entire supply chain from the ground up. Through massive investments and strategic partnerships, Chinese firms now control a significant portion of the world's mining, processing, and refining capacity. Whether it is lithium mines in South America or cobalt operations in Africa, the infrastructure of the future is being managed through a Chinese-centric network. This means that even if a competitor manages to build a world-class battery factory in Europe or the United States, they may still find themselves reliant on Chinese-controlled raw materials to keep their production lines moving. This indirect control is perhaps the most formidable barrier to entry for any new player in the market. As industry experts often say, in the 20th century, power was defined by who controlled the oil. In the 21st century, power is defined by who controls the battery supply chain. The shift from fossil fuels to mineral-based energy has fundamentally altered the global balance of power. While traditional oil-producing nations are grappling with the decline of their primary resource, China has already positioned itself as the OPEC of the electric age. They built the necessary infrastructure early, scaled up their production capabilities, and secured the logistics of the future long before their competitors realized the magnitude of the shift. Furthermore, China is not resting on its current achievements. They are leading the charge into the next generation of energy storage, investing billions into research for solid-state batteries and sodium-ion technologies. These innovations promise to be safer, cheaper, and more efficient than anything we see on the road today. There is, of course, a significant geopolitical risk attached to this level of concentration. When the global automotive industry depends so heavily on the supply chain of a single nation, any disruption, whether economic, political, or logistical, could send shockwaves through the world economy. Rising prices or trade tensions could suddenly halt progress for manufacturers across the globe. This realization has triggered a frantic race in the US and Europe to establish local battery production and friendshore their mineral supplies. However, the challenge is immense. China is not just a few steps ahead. It has a head start of nearly 20 years. They have created an integrated ecosystem where research, mining, refining, and manufacturing all happen within a synchronized framework. This synergy allows for a speed of innovation and a level of cost efficiency that is currently unmatched, making the battery not just a component, but the ultimate weapon in China's quest for global EV leadership. China's influence is no longer confined within its own borders. It is rapidly permeating every corner of the globe. This international expansion was not a matter of chance but the result of a meticulously crafted, long-term strategy. Today, whether you are in the heart of Europe, the developing markets of Southeast Asia, or the untapped potential of Africa, Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers are establishing a presence that is impossible to ignore. The primary weapon in this global conquest is a simple but devastatingly effective formula, offering high-value, technologically advanced electric cars at prices that their competitors simply cannot match. Let's begin with Europe, a continent with a storied automotive history. For over a century, brands from Germany, France, and Italy have set the global standard for engineering and prestige. However, the ground is shifting beneath their feet. Chinese companies like BYD have already pierced the European market, positioning themselves not as low-end alternatives, but as serious contenders. They are introducing models that compete directly with local favorites in terms of range, safety, and digital features, but at a significantly lower price point. European consumers, once deeply loyal to homegrown brands, are beginning to shift their gaze. When a buyer can access the same level of battery technology and luxury for thousands of dollars less, brand loyalty starts to take a backseat to economic reality. In Asia, the competition is reaching a boiling point. In rapidly growing economies like India, Thailand, and Indonesia, the electric vehicle market is still in its infancy, and China is moving with incredible speed to capture it. Chinese firms are not just exporting cars. They are forming local joint ventures, establishing massive manufacturing hubs, and integrating themselves into the local economies. Their strategy is first-mover advantage. By entering these markets early and offering affordable mobility, they are building brand trust and infrastructure long before Western or Japanese companies can mount a meaningful response. Because they already produce at such a massive scale domestically, they can export these vehicles at prices that are highly attractive to developing nations, effectively shutting out higher-cost competitors. The expansion into Africa represents an even deeper level of strategic thinking. While many global automakers have overlooked Africa as a secondary market, China is treating it as a vital frontier. In various African nations, Chinese companies are not just selling vehicles. They are building the entire foundation for an electric future. This includes the installation of charging grids, the development of logistics networks, and the creation of service ecosystems. By building the infrastructure themselves, they ensure that their brands become the default choice for the continent. Once a proprietary ecosystem is established, it becomes a nearly insurmountable barrier for any outsider trying to enter the market later. This brings us to the most aggressive tactic in China's arsenal: the price war. This is the point where the business of cars turns into a high-stakes economic battle. In the current EV market, price has become the ultimate competitive edge, and China is wielding it with surgical precision. Companies like BYD are intentionally pricing their models to undercut the competition, even forcing established giants like Tesla to repeatedly slash their own prices to remain relevant. However, there is a fundamental difference in their cost structures. Tesla, despite its innovation, faces higher manufacturing and labor costs compared to its Chinese rivals. When Tesla cuts prices, its profit margins are squeezed, which can create long-term financial pressure. In contrast, Chinese players control their own supply chains from the lithium mines to the microchips. This vertical integration means they can maintain profitability even at price points that would be ruinous for a European or American manufacturer. It is a classic market capture maneuver. Flood the market with high-quality, low-cost products to attract the customer base, squeeze out the competition, and then solidify a dominant position. This strategy is causing immense pressure in Washington and Brussels, leading to the implementation of tariffs and trade barriers to protect local industries. This competition has transcended the boardroom and entered the realm of global geopolitics. It is no longer just a race between car companies. It is a battle for the economic future of the 21st century. As we reach the climax of this global transformation, all eyes are fixed on the ultimate industrial rivalry: Tesla versus BYD. This is not merely a competition for sales figures. It is a clash between two fundamentally different philosophies of the future. Tesla represents the Silicon Valley approach, treating the car as a high-end tech product defined by autonomous software, artificial intelligence, and a premium lifestyle brand. Tesla made electric vehicles aspirational, proving that they could be faster, smarter, and more exciting than any petrol car. Features like autopilot, the full self-driving FSD beta, and seamless over-the-air updates have created a loyal ecosystem that feels more like a tech community than a traditional customer base. However, BYD represents the industrial powerhouse approach. Their focus is on extreme scale, vertical integration, and democratic accessibility. While Tesla targets the luxury and upper-middle segments, BYD's mission is to put an electric car in every driveway. By controlling the entire manufacturing process, from the lithium mines to the microchips and the specialized blade battery, BYD has achieved a level of cost efficiency that is currently unmatched in the West. As of early 2026, the gap is widening. Data suggests that BYD is now frequently outselling Tesla in key markets like Europe and Southeast Asia. Tesla still holds a significant advantage in brand prestige and AI sophistication, but BYD is winning the war of numbers and market reach. The true secret behind China's dominance, however, lies in its unparalleled manufacturing agility. China has transformed into a high-speed production hub where the impossible becomes routine. While Western legacy automakers often take years to bring a new factory online or move a concept to production, Chinese firms can achieve the same results in a fraction of the time. This speed is fueled by a synchronized ecosystem where the supply chain is localized, the labor force is highly specialized, and government policy provides a massive tailwind. In China, an EV company isn't just a corporate entity. It is part of a national priority, supported by subsidies, infrastructure development, and strategic planning. This manufacturing prowess is now evolving into technological leadership. The narrative that China only copies Western tech is officially dead. Today, Chinese engineers are breaking the thermal limits of charging, introducing megawatt-level systems that can add 400 kilometers of range in just 5 minutes, a feat once thought physically impossible by legacy engineers. Furthermore, 2026 marks the dawn of the solid-state era. China has already established formal national standards for solid-state batteries, with pilot production and vehicle integration programs from companies like Godion High-Tech and BYD already underway. These batteries promise to double the driving range while virtually eliminating fire risks, effectively removing the last remaining barriers to mass EV adoption. Looking ahead toward 2030 and 2040, the landscape of global mobility will be unrecognizable. Projections suggest that by 2030, electric vehicles will account for more than 2/3 of all global car sales. In this future, the traditional internal combustion engine will be a relic of the past, and the digital, connected, and autonomous vehicle will be the standard. If current trends persist, China is on a trajectory to become the undisputed EV king of the world, potentially controlling the majority of the global market share by the end of the decade. But the story is far from over. This is a high-stakes game of chess where the rest of the world is finally waking up. Tesla is working on its next-generation platform to drastically reduce costs, while European and Japanese giants are pouring billions into their own solid-state breakthroughs and local supply chains. Governments in the US and EU are implementing protective measures to ensure their domestic industries aren't completely hollowed out. The coming decade will be defined by this intense friction between China's established lead and the desperate comeback strategies of the West. Will the future of every car on the road be dictated by Chinese technology, or will a new innovation emerge to reset the board? One thing is certain, the race for the future is no longer a slow crawl. It is a high-speed sprint, and the finish line is closer than we think.